And you guys want to take a guess? What is the oldest language on Earth? Now's your chance to do so. Here
Chinese?
we go. What are the oldest languages on Earth? This article is from the Tellen Institute in the Netherlands. It seems that academics and professionals are still not entirely sure of how old language is, but the general consensus is that it has been with us since around 100,000 BC.
Wow.
Whoa! As a result of this disagreement, it is even harder to accept which is the oldest surviving language. That is, the one that we still use today in our modern world. So shout it out in the chat if you guys are familiar with any of these languages. As far as written languages go, Sumerian and Egyptian seem to have the earliest writing systems and are among the earliest recorded languages, dating back to around 3200 BC. But the oldest written language that is still in actual use would probably be, some of you got it, Chinese, which first appeared around 1500 BC, although ancient Greek also appeared in a specific written form around the same time. So ancient Greek and ancient Chinese were the... You were right. Yep, you got it.
Oldest written languages.
Oldest written languages that still survive today.
Whoa!
And Dilger,
Dilger!
giving out the perfect number of subs. Yo!
Thank you so much, friend. And also, welcome back for 7 months.
Yo!
So good to have you with us.
7 months for Dilger and 7 gift subs for you, my friends. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. And whoa there, Vero. Good to see you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you being here for these chill streams. We are sending tons of positive energy your way to you. All right.
And also Don9399, thanks for using your Prime. And Sydney, thanks for being here for 19 months.
Yo. So, what languages got written down for the first time? When a language got written down for the first time doesn't really have anything to do with how old it is. When we get into languages that are still in use, here are some interesting differences. Tamil, the earliest discovered written examples of Tamil dated back to 300 BC. However, based on other evidence, scientists believe that it first appeared around 2500 BC, so 2200 years earlier. While it may not be known to a lot of people on our planet today, Tamil is spoken by around 78 million people, which makes it the longest surviving language in the world. Anybody here speak Tamil? I don't even know what Tamil would sound like spoken.
Yeah, me neither.
Should we find out?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can get us an audio sample of what the oldest still spoken language is. Tamil language. I see a translator. How old? It's over 5,000 years old. And, Tamil language, the real history of spoken Tamil. That could be interesting. Let me see if I can get the audio for you guys. Just a split second away here. Okay. Hang tight. And Amelia is going to tell you about Sanskrit.
Yes, Sanskrit. Next in line is Sanskrit, the ancient language of India, which can be traced back to 2000 BC in its earliest written form. While today, only a very small group of people still speak the language, it has had a large influence on several Western languages as part of the common Indo-European language root. You might not know, what you might not know is that the basic language of computers was also constructed along the principles of Sanskrit.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh, very interesting. All right, I'm going to try to drop in this audio here for you guys. Just hang tight a second, and we'll double check our properties. We're going to go like this. Amelia and I are going to listen with you in our headphones, and hopefully you'll be able to hear just fine. So this is a video called The Real History of the Tamil Language, and I feel like it's a good place to start. All right, let me know if you guys can hear it okay, moderators.
Tamil is a classical language and one of the major languages of the Dravidian language family. The Tamil language has retained almost 805 of its features of the original Dravidian language, spoken predominantly by Tamils in India, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, and Singapore. In the year 1996, it was the 18th most spoken language with over 74 million speakers worldwide. Hey everybody, my name is Leroy Kenton, and yeah, I know some of you guys are super happy to see this episode because you've been requesting for us to do a video on Tamils for a long time, the Tamil language or the Tamil people, but in this episode I'm focusing just on the Tamil language and looking at some of the history of it. Now guys, honestly, if you want to see more videos about Tamils and the Tamil culture, give this video a thumbs up, and if we reach over 1,000 likes, we're going to be producing a lot more videos about Tamils and the Tamil culture.
All right, guys, we're
I'm
dropping the
super
links. Check
excited
it out
for
in the
that. I
chat.
just want to ensure that when we're going to be producing new videos that you guys actually want to see them. And now before I get into this episode, I just want to ask you this. What is your favorite language? Let me know down there.
Let us know,
Okay, so
guys.
let's
What's your
move on
favorite
to the
language?
history of the Tamil language. So the history of the Tamil language can actually be divided into 3 periods. In the first period, we have Old Tamil, and that was from 300 BCE to 700 CE. Short inscriptions, supposedly from the 2nd century, were written in a variant of the Brahmi script called Tamil Brahmi. These were found in caves and are the earliest records supporting the evidence of Old Tamil. The consonants, the syllable structure, and various grammatical forms are some of the many features of the Proto-Dravidian language that the Old Tamil preserved. And then the next period of time is the medieval Tamil, and that was from 700 CE to 1200 CE. So the evolution of Old Tamil into Middle Tamil by the 8th century was categorized by a significant increase in the Sanskritization of Tamil. From the period of the Pallava dynasty, many Sanskrit words were used in Tamil. And then we have modern Tamil, and that's from 1600 to the present day. And this is a spoken Tamil today, and it shows a lot of changes from Middle Tamil. However, unlike other major languages, modern Tamil has not experienced any transformation as such at all in over 2 millennia. Now, what I mean by that is that the core of the system of grammar has remained unchanged throughout Old, Middle, and Modern Tamil. So the 2,000-year-old Tamil classic called the Tirukkural can be read by modern Tamil kids very easily. In fact,
You guys want to see what Tamil looks like, the alphabet? Check it out right here. So these,
Wow, it's beautiful.
Yeah, as he was saying, very similar to Sanskrit, and these are the vowels. Whoa, all the vowel sounds.
Also, Young Pori, welcome and thanks for subscribing.
Thank you very much, and Bloody Cheyenne, thank you for the big cheers. Good to see you, and sending you lots of love. Thank you for being here with us today. So if this is Tamil, you guys want to guess what Sanskrit is? Apparently looks a lot like it. Here's Sanskrit as a written language. And can anybody read what we're looking at here? Let me know if you read Sanskrit. Okay, continue to cite. A lot of ads on this site. There we go. This is Sanskrit. Can anyone read what this says? I'm very curious. Phoenix Flame, welcome back for 15 months. Good to see you. These languages look very dissimilar to the way we write with English characters, which is more based off the Latin. I have a feeling we'll get connected to that in a moment. So Greek is best known as the language of philosophers and scholars and is still spoken by more than 13 million people. Does anybody here speak Greek? Raise your hand in the chat if you can speak Greek.
I saw someone speaking Greek.
Yeah? Records reveal that the language dates back to around 1500 BC and is recognized as an official language by the European Union. Kite Cherry, thank you very much. Good to see you. Chinese is the single most spoken language around the world. So if you speak Chinese, you're in good company. You can speak with more people in that language than any other language. Estimated 1.2 billion people in the world consider it their first language. The written origins of the language have been traced back to 1250 BC in the late Shang dynasty. Along with Tamil, Chinese is one of the oldest surviving languages in the world.
Wow.
And Hebrew. While many believe that Hebrew has been used for the last 5,000 years, its earliest written examples date back to 1000 BC. It is also an interesting example because it ceased to be spoken ceased to be a spoken tongue from 200 CE to 400 CE and was only really resurrected as a living language after the creation of the State of Israel after the Second World War. At present, around 9 million people speak Hebrew across the world. Who here speaks Hebrew? Do we have anyone here? I see some Mandarin and Cantonese. Wow, sweet. Good to see you. You learn Tamil, Spanish, Japanese, Italian, and Mandarin? That's incredible, Casino.
Amazing.
That's incredible. Good for you. And I know many of you speak lots of different languages. We have to use English in the chat here so that we can read and reply to you guys. And our moderators can help out as well. We got another language that is considered the oldest, and some of you guessed this one as well. It is
Arabic.
Yep.
Another ancient language with only relatively written examples is Arabic. The earliest example of Arabic inscription dates back to 512 CE. Today, about 290 million people consider Arabic their first language, including the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Kuwait, and Oman. This is a short list of languages that we still recognize and use today. We know there have been many more languages, but they are either no longer spoken or lost to history as no written records have ever been found.
No way.
Wow.
Hey, Stuffed Zombie. Welcome back. Good to see you for 17 months, my friend. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. Come on in, come on in.
And Kite Cherry, thank you for the gift.
Yep, Post Sharpie, appreciate the follow. Welcome, everybody. Thank you guys for being here. So let's look at some of these other Bloody Cheyenne.
Oh, thank you so much, friend.
Giving out those gift sub group hugs.
Thanks for the hugs.
Those are randomly allocated. Congratulations to anybody that got one of those gift subs from Bloody. And if you want to check out the starter kit, we have a starter kit that will show you around the channel, and you can link it up to our Twitch. And, Lightning Flourish, thanks for the 4 gift subs as well. Appreciate that very much, Lightning Flourish. Whoa, right on. So let's see, some of these languages, I'm really interested in the way languages look. So if this is Tamil, and this is Sanskrit, let's look up what Greek looks like as a written language. Boom, boom. So here is Greek, written Greek, and the ancient Greek alphabet looks like it modifies over time to be more like this Greek alphabet classically down here below. Does anybody recognize these letters from their language? Do you speak a language that is not Greek and you recognize some of these symbols? Another language that has really interesting characters to me is the Slavic languages, like Russian. So let's see. Slavic languages written down. Here we go. And what are the Slavic languages? Let's find out about them together. I'm going to share this link with the moderators as well. Each time we open up another page, I will drop it to the mods and they can share it with you in the chat. Blink. There you go. What are the Slavic languages? Slavic languages, for over 1,000 years of recorded history, the places and peoples of the lands of today's Eastern Europe and Russia have excited the curiosity and beckoned visitors. Key to these peoples and cultures are the Slavic languages Russian, Ukrainian, and Belarusian to the east, Polish, Czech, and Slovak to the west, and Slovenian, Bosnian, Croatian, and Serbian, Macedonian, Bulgarian to the south. All of the Slavic languages are closely related to each other, but they are also related to the Romance and Germanic languages, including English, and to others in the Indo-European family. In spite of the linguistic similarities of the Slavic languages in culture, religion, history, and political tradition, these countries and people have followed different paths that have frequently crossed in the creation and disintegration of empires in the constantly changing political landscape of Eastern Europe. So the Slavic department offers, at Harvard, these are the different instructions they teach. Does anyone speak Russian, Ukrainian, Polish, Czech, or Bosnian, Croatian, Serbian? I see you all in the chat. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Thank you guys for being here. So this goes on to talk about courses at Harvard, but it's an interesting overview, and they mention in here, so those are the Slavic languages. We've learned about some of the ancient languages, and we are going to check out now the Romance languages. Romance languages. And why do you guys think they call the Romance languages Romance languages? Anybody got a guess where that name comes from? Somebody surely must know.
Because they're from Rome.
Ding, 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 ding. I think you're right. The Romance languages are a group of languages all derived from Vulgar Latin, written within historical times and forming a subgroup of the Italic branch of Indo-European language families. The major languages of this family include French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian. They're all national languages. Catalan also takes a political and cultural significance place among the Romance languages. And we have, Sardinian and Dalmatian is an extinct language. Do you guys know there's a language called Dalmatian? The Dalmatian language is an extinct Romance language formerly spoken by the Dalmatian coast of modern...
The island of Belgia.
Yeah. Okay, so where is that on a map? It became extinct in the 19th century, so in the 1800s. Whoa, interesting. Didn't even know there was a language called Dalmatian. Of these so-called families of languages, the Romance group is perhaps the simplest to identify and the easiest to account for historically. Not only do Romance languages share a good proportion of basic vocabulary, still recognizably the same in spite of some phonological changes, meaning the way the words sound, and a number of similar grammatical forms, but they can also be traced back with a few breaks in continuity to the languages of, there it is, the Roman Empire. So close is the similarity to each of the Romance languages to Latin, as currently known from the rich literature and continuous religious and scholarly tradition that no one doubts the relationship. For the non-specialist, the testimony of history is even more convincing than the linguistic evidence. Roman occupation of Italy, of the Iberian Peninsula, Gaul, and the Balkans account for the Roman character of the major Romance languages. So as the Romans covered a lot of ground and occupied places like not only Italy, but moved throughout Europe, or early Europe, later European colonial and commercial contacts with parts of the Americas, of Africa, and of Asia readily expand the French, Spanish, and Portuguese spoken in these regions. Whoa, super cool. So here's a map you can see of where people are speaking these languages most commonly. Not surprised to see French in France, Spanish in Spain, but we also have this, what is that word? Occitan? Does anybody know? And Portugal, speaking Portuguese. Who here speaks? Where's my home? You know? Sardinian, Italian, Provençal, and Romanian. Super cool. Very, very cool. All right. Hang on here real quick. Breep, breep. And Moad DLC, thank you very much for the gift sub. Appreciate you being here. And Jade, thank you for the cheers. Appreciate you joining us today for a little bit. Good to see you guys. Alrighty, so...
Yeah, Android speaks Portuguese. And Ahumble is also a native Portuguese speaker. Oh.
Right on. So what other kinds of... How can we... Let's see about maybe the evolution of language. Such a gigantically broad category to study language. Let's see. Evolution of language. That could be interesting. The mystery of language evolution.
Yeah.
That looks super dense.
Yeah.
Some of this is really heady stuff that I think you guys are just going to be bored by. I'm going to put on some like Zen music in the background because I feel like the silence is eating me. Hang tight. Let's see if this will be relaxing or no. There. Some relaxing Zen music with water sounds. Now the awkward moments in between me Googling things don't make you feel as awkward.
So yeah, maybe we can find something about the evolution of language. Mary Jack, thanks for cheering. Glad you're enjoying learning with us.
Has anybody ever made up their own language?
I have not, but that would be cool.
We kind of have our own language here with emotes.
Yeah.
That's an evolution of language. Here's an interesting thing about Japanese. Why does Japanese writing need 3 different sets of characters? Yes, it's true. Japanese has 3 completely separate sets of characters called kanji, hiragana, and katakana that are all used in reading and writing. The first rendering of Tokyo is in kanji, with the hiragana version next and the katakana one on the bottom. The reason for this triple threat to language learners' sanity isn't that teachers of Japanese want to lessen their workload by convincing you to study Spanish instead. There's actually a fairly logical, slightly lengthy explanation for using all 3. So pour yourself a cup of green tea and let's dive right in. First, let's take a look at kanji, which are complex characters originally coming from Chinese that represent a concept. For example, karuma, the Japanese word for car, is written as, and then you see next to it, the kanji symbol there for car. Hiragana, though, is much simpler. It's in its form and its function. They take fewer strokes to write than all, but the simplest kanji, and instead of representing concepts, hiragana are used for writing phonetically. So the whole word of car is written there with that symbol. In other words, the hiragana characters function like English letters, in that they don't have any intrinsic meaning. They just represent sounds. Because of this, any Japanese word that can be written in kanji can also be written in hiragana. Karuma, which is written here as this character in kanji, can also be written in hiragana as karuma, with these 3 hiragana correlating to the sounds ku, ru, ma. So why do sentences have a mixture of kanji and hiragana? Because hiragana gets used for grammatical particles and modifiers. Remember, each kanji represents a concept. So when writing a verb, you use the kanji for the base of the concept, and then hiragana to alter the pronunciation and add more meaning, such as a tense. For instance, the verb miru, meaning see, is written here in these characters. Combining the kanji mi with the hiragana ru, if you wanted to change that to past tense, mita, or saw, you'd leave the kanji as it is and replace this symbol with the hiragana ta to get mita, which means saw in past tense. Ooh, that's a little tricky, huh?
Yeah.
So there are 3 pretty solid arguments against writing exclusively in hiragana, which is to maintain, of course, the concept and further sentence structure. We could go on and on and on, I'm sure. I see our friend is cheering, saying Japanese uses Chinese characters and Korean too. So Korean elementary school students study Chinese characters.
Interesting.
And Amidala, thank you very much, saying, did you know that fictional languages such as Elvish, Klingon, and Dwarfish are based off extinct languages and Latin primarily? For example, J.R.R. Tolkien created Elvish while studying a dead form of English while he wrote The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. Very interesting. Right on. And Figro, thanks for continuing your gift sub from Loyal Jinky. Welcome to the crew. Right on. So maybe we could look up completely fictional languages. Cinematic languages. All right, here are 6 fictional languages you can really learn. 6 fictional languages you can really learn. This is from Britannica.com, and I'm going to share the link again with the moderators. There you go. Many of the languages that are made up for television and books are just gibberish. However, a rare few have been developed into fully functioning, living languages, some even by linguistic professionals and professors. If learning French or Spanish at school was not quite your cup of tea, you may want to try one of these on for size. Are there any languages out there that you guys would like to try? I see Na'vi, and I see some Klingon. And that's the Babylonian Tower. Indeed it is. The Tower of Babel. So, who knows a few words of the Thigan Hole? I don't know what that is, but it may come in handy. Alienese from Futurama is number 6. Alienese, or so-called the alien language, is perhaps one of the easiest languages on this list to learn, if you're a mathematician, that is. The language, intended to be used for hidden in-jokes in the animated show Futurama, do we have any fans here? Began as a simple substitution alphabet, with 26 characters that directly corresponded to the English alphabet. However, that proved too easy for fans, so a second form of the language was devised using math instead. Each symbol was a numerical value, and messages are decoded into English thusly. First, translate the symbol directly, so 0 equals A, 1 equals B, etc. And for the remaining letters, you subtract the previous symbol's value. If that letter is less than 0, add 26. Whoa. That seems overcomplicated to me. How about Lapine from Watership Down? Richard Adams' Watership Down is the tale of a colony of rabbits looking for a new home. Amelia, do you want to read about the rabbits and their spoken language known as Lapine?
Lapin. The rabbits speak a language known as Lapin, which is meant to sound fluffy. While only a few dozen words of Lapin appear in the text, fans have since developed the language into a functional one with distinct grammar and vocabulary.
You want to try to say that?
O.A. Lyth Frithier Hyanos on Lyth Zine Yin Daloil. If it's sunny today, we'll go and find dandelions.
That is an adorable thing to say. And yo, Beck the Dreamer, thank you for the 10 gift subs.
Whoa, thanks, Beck.
Welcome aboard, everybody. Check out the gift sub group hug starter kit. If you're here for the first time, we've got a little panel that looks a little something like... maybe it looks like that. And you can click it. It'll show you how to link up to your subscriber chats on Discord. We've got Zen Garden and Jericho. Right on. Right on. Some of you called this one Na'vi from Avatar. For his 209. For his 2009. Thank you very much, Apu, for the gifts up to the Dandelion. For his 2009 blockbuster film Avatar, James Cameron wanted an alien race that could speak Na'vi. It's a fully developed concept, complete with their own working language. He enlisted the help from linguist Paul Frommer, who created an extensive vocabulary and grammar for the giant blue beings. Fans quickly caught on, and with the help from Frommer, continued to develop the language. Favortep Fitseng Lu Kanani. Topti oil sipieng fe tiknong leov erlu. Yeah. I don't know what that means, but those I know what it means. I just can't speak it. These demons are forbidden here. I will kill this one as a lesson to the others. Yo, that's the way it is. Number 3, Amelia, you speak this language fluently. Dothraki.
I do not speak this language fluently, but J.R.R. Martin, in his A Song of Ice and Fire book series, established the nomadic horse-rearing Dothraki people. In the books, Martin included very few words of the Dothraki language, but for the HBO television series, David Peterson of the Language Creation Society was hired to turn those words into a complex lexicon. As the Dothraki's people's lives depend first and foremost on their horses, Peterson created the language to reflect his close relationship with horse riding and rearing. Dothraki is frequently spoken by actors on the show, and many fans are learning it too. Hashir Dothret Shik Ashika. How are you today? Did you ride well?
Yeah, I mean...
I rode quite well.
Actually, we rode our horse to the studio today. We thought it would be a nice change of pace. Aha! Klingon. Klingon is one of the most well-known fictional languages created by linguist Mark Okrand as the language of the warrior Klingon race in the television show Star Trek. Okrand published several books about the language, and an organization known as the Klingon Language Institute has a quarterly journal dedicated to it. Fans use the language to conduct marriage ceremonies and to write songs, and there are even adaptations of Shakespeare's Hamlet published in Klingon. While Klingon does have its own alphabet, the language is usually transliterated into English. Nudak o Puchkape. Where's the bathroom? I have no idea if that's the right pronunciation, but here's the one that started it all, Amidala. Elvish.
Elvish.
The works of J.R.R. Tolkien.
He looks so happy.
Look at that. Look at that happy hobbit man.
Happy hobbit man.
J.R.R. Tolkien, a philologist and lexicographer, began creating his Elvish languages before he started on any of his well-known works, such as The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. There are actually 2 forms of Elvish commonly learned by fans: Quenya, or High Elvish, and Sindarin, both loosely based on Finnish and Welsh. 2 languages Tolkien himself studied, and these can be subdivided into different dialects. There are even different forms of Elvish script, one from which you may have seen on the One Ring, featured in Lord of the Rings films. Ellen Ciel Lumen Omen Tielevu. A star shines on the hour of our meeting. Wow.
Apu, thanks for the gifts up to Happy Hobbit.
Happy Hobbit indeed.
Happy Hobbit.
Sweet. Very interesting that there are 6 fictional languages that you would really be able to learn. Let's do a poll. Which of these 6 fictional languages would you be most interested to learn? We've got, let's look them up again, Alienese from Futurama. So a mathematical language based on numbers. Lapin. Lapin.
Which means rabbit in French.
Which means rabbit in French. So the language of the rabbits. Navi, if you want to go hang out with them on Pandora. Or Dothraki. You can be your own Khaleesi. And Klingon. Or Elvish. You can type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 into the chat, and let's decide what would be the language of the day. Just Monica, thank you very much for the cheers. May Governin, which is nice to see you in Sindarin. Elvish, of course. Whoa there, Vero! For your linguistics class last summer, your group studied the origin of the Queenan language and did a presentation on it. From what you've learned, it also has elements of Germanic languages, Oh, very cool.
Cool.
That's super interesting.
Thanks for sharing. All right. Well, it seems like Elvish is the top choice, followed by Na'vi. Dothraki and Klingon are exactly tied, and then comes Alienese and Lepin. Is
None of you want to speak with rabbits?
I will speak with rabbits.
Will you vote for Lepin?
Yes.
Merci beaucoup. Well, with 55% of the vote, Elvish is the language of the day, and such a beautiful sound to it, really.
Yeah.
Ooh, Bookworm speaks a bit of Davazuhul, a dragon language. Cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. Well, we're really grateful for all of you guys being here. Oh, you'd want to speak parcel tongue and speak with snakes? Steve speaks parcel tongue, I'm sure of it. Oh, I read Elvish so good. Thank you. I would honestly, let's look up
Let's look at his face again.
here he is.
Yeah.
Here's Tolkien's face.
Hello, he looks so happy. Do you want to do a little bit of Juneteenth?
Yes. That's what I was just doing. So, for our final phase, I would like to look up the history of Juneteenth. And this is from Juneteenth.com, which I think would be a pretty good source of information here. And Juneteenth is coming up this very Friday.
Yes.
Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemorium of the ending of commemoratorium.
Commemoration.
No.
Yeah.
Commemoration.
Commemoration.
Wow, why have I never said that word? I've seen that word written. I'm going to start over from the beginning, guys. Take two. History of Juneteenth. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. Dating back to 1865, it was on June 19th that the Union soldiers, led by Major General Gordon Granger, landed at Galveston, Texas, with the news that the war had ended and that the enslaved were now free. Note that this was 2.5 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, which had become official on January 1st of 1863. The Emancipation Proclamation had little impact on the Texans due to the minimal number of Union troops to enforce the new executive order. However, with the surrender of General Lee in April of 1865, the arrival of General Granger's regiment, the forces were finally strong enough to influence and overcome the resistance. Right on.
Yeah. Later attempts to explain this 2.5-year delay in the receipt of the important news have yielded several versions that have been handed down throughout the years. Often told is the story of a messenger who was murdered on his way to Texas with the news of freedom. Another is that the news was deliberately withheld by the enslavers to maintain the labor force on plantations. Still, another is that federal troops actually waited for the slave owners to reap the benefits of one last cotton harvest before going to Texas to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation. All of which, or none of these versions, could be true. Certainly for some, President Lincoln's authority over the rebellious states was in question. Whatever the reason, conditions in Texas remained status quo well beyond what was statutory.
General Order Number 3. One of the General Granger's first orders of business was to read to the people of Texas General Order Number 3, which began most significantly with, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired laborer." So with the reading of this order, the slaves went from slaves to employees with equal rights. The reactions to this profound news ranged from pure shock to immediate jubilation. While many lingered to learn of this new employer-to-employee relationship, many left before these offers were completely off the lips of their former masters, attesting to the varying conditions of the plantations and the realization of freedom. Even with nowhere to go, many felt that leaving the plantation would be their first grasp of freedom. North was a logical destination, and for many of them it represented true freedom. While the desire to reach family members in neighboring states drove some to Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. Settling into these new areas as free men and women brought on new realities and the challenges of establishing a heretofore non-existent status for Black people in America. Recounting the memories of that great day in June 1865 and its festivities would serve as a motivation as well as the release from the growing pressures encountered in the new territories. The celebration of June 19th was coined Juneteenth and grew with more participation from descendants. The Juneteenth celebration was the time for reassuring each other, for praying, and for gathering remaining family members. Juneteenth continued to be a highly revered in Texas decades later, with many former slaves and descendants making an annual pilgrimage back to the Galveston on this date.
Wow.
So you can learn about the festivities and food, such as rodeos, fishing, barbecue, baseball, just a few of the typical Juneteenth activities, as well as guest speakers and prayer services, ways to focus on education and self-improvement.
So strawberry soda pop was a very popular food, and sharing, and the center of attention, celebrations.
You're adorable.
I'm trying to do what you just did.
Yeah, it didn't work as well, but I like you a lot.
All right. In the early years, little interest existed outside the African American community in participation of the celebrations. In some cases, there was outwardly exhibited resistance.
There you go.
By barring. In some cases, there was outwardly exhibited resistance by barring the use of public property for the festivities. What? Most of the festivities found themselves out in rural areas around the rivers and creeks that could provide for additional activities such as fishing, horseback riding, and barbecues. Often, church grounds were the site of such activities. Eventually, as African Americans became landowners, land was donated and dedicated for these festivities. One of the earliest documented land purchases in the name of Juneteenth was organized by Reverend Jack Yates. This fundraising effort yielded $1,000 and made possible the purchase of Emancipation Park in Houston, Texas. Very cool.
So here we have some information about celebrating Juneteenth this year, and this browser window is much larger. Hang tight. Love it. So easy to maneuver. Maybe I'll just go like this. Aha. On June 19th, Americans around the country will celebrate Juneteenth, a holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. And the celebration of freedom comes as the country grapples with its long-standing tradition of systematic racism, as well as the fate of its Confederate monuments, flags, and symbols, amid nationwide protest against police brutality and racism following the death of George Floyd. Although the holiday centers on the freedom of the African Americans from slavery, the message of Juneteenth is a positive, unifying one for all Americans, says Steve Williams, the president of the National Juneteenth Observation Foundation. Juneteenth is an unifying holiday, Williams says. It is the completion of the celebration. There it is. It is the completion of the celebration of freedom in America. It is often celebrated with joyful community and family gatherings, but many of these events will likely go virtual this year on account of the ongoing pandemic. So here's the information, Juneteenth.com. If you guys want to go learn more in depth on your own, please check it out. We also have !BLM if you would like to be a supporting member of the Black Lives Matter movement, which is super important. You can participate by signing, donating, and of course, staying informed. So please check out that card as it floats through the chat. And we really appreciate you guys all being here with us. Yes, look at all those fists raised in the air. We appreciate you guys. Piper Shaw, welcome back for 22 months.
Oh my goodness.
I see Kim Toniak is back with 28 bits, saying, as a linguistics and language tutor, the stream makes me really happy. Also, Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
And happy Pride. And happy T-Dog. Welcome back, T-Dog. Good to see you, bud. And Sanara is back for 2 months as well. So before we end the stream today, my friends, we need one more poll. There's one more thing we got to poll, and you know what it is. Anybody want to guess?
Amelia? Raid?
That's the one. Where shall we raid? You guys help us determine the raids at the end of all of our streams. Oh, I love seeing it, you guys. Thanks for filling the whole chat with Black Lives Matter. You guys are awesome. Number 1, they're doing some ink art. Number 2, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, if you want to keep it real chill. Number 3 is a game called Star Citizen, perhaps you've heard. And number 4, Dragon Age Origins. Let us know where you'd like to raid by typing 1, 2, 3, or 4 into the stream chat. And we are excited to see you guys on our next stream tomorrow evening. Wednesday, we're going to finish playing Unravel, which is honestly so chill. So chill that I was unraveling while playing it last time. And moreover, we're going to be playing some awesome games this weekend if you want to join us for Detroit Become Human on Juneteenth, in fact. And that's this Friday, 2 p.m. And then The Last of Us Part 2 starts this Saturday and Sunday on June 20th and 21st. You guys are welcome to join us anytime. We're grateful to have you on stream with us today. All right, the winner of the poll is... Ooh, it's close. We need a tiebreaker. You guys down for a tiebreaker round? All right, it's just between Ink Art and Animal Crossing, so let's find out. Ink Art. And if you didn't vote the first time, it's super important you do this time. Animal Crossing. All right, new vote, new poll. Here we go. Number 1 for Ink Art, number 2 for Animal Crossing. And if you were in there somewhere else and you voted for one of the other ones, you can have a fresh vote here. Type number 1 for Ink Art, number 2 for Animal Crossing. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Good to see you, Zen Garden. Good time zone to you, friends. And Jericho, appreciate you being here with us.
Looks like Ink Art is taking the lead.
Looks like Ink Art is just going to beat it. All right, we'll go for another 10 seconds. Find out where it is. Thank you again to our moderators. We appreciate you guys helping out. And sorry, Dogter, I missed your raid target at the end there. But here we go. Looks like 3, 2, 1. Ink Art is the winner. We're going to raid over and see some art today.
I'm also curious, before we raid, what is something that you learned today?
Pop quiz.
Yes. Type in anything that you learned on today's Curiosity Chill. We really appreciate you joining us. We really like to learn with all of you.
Yeah, you guys are awesome news.
You're welcome, Skitters. Thanks for joining us.
You learned we should speak Elvish instead?
That Dalmatian is a language. That there's a fictional language of rabbits.
Yo, Black Wolf Magic, welcome back for 2 whole years. Yeah, Le Pont, the rabbit language.
All Slavic languages are connected. How Tamil? Is that how you pronounce it? Tamil?
Tamil, I think.
Tamil, yes.
Tamil. And lots of new languages. And that Black Lives Matter. That's right. Say it louder for the people in the back who just can't get it through their thick skulls.
Yes.
Yo, we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for being here.
There's a lot of languages to learn. Many languages.
Did the Romance languages come from Rome? Indeed. Right on. Good to see you guys. Oh, super cool. You guys ready for this raid? Here it comes.
Yes.
All right. We're going to raid. We'll see you guys tomorrow for Unravel and this weekend for Detroit Become Human and The Last of Us Part 2. We'll see you soon. Have a good time on the raid. We're coming with you. 3, 2, 1, raid!